Have you ever looked out your bedroom window late at night and felt like someone was looking right back at you? In the dark, the most familiar places can suddenly become the most dangerous. Tonight, we are counting down 4 long, terrifying true horror stories that actually happened to real people. From isolated cabins to lonely night shifts, these stories prove that you are never as safe as you think. Sit back, lock your doors, and let's begin. I have always been a night owl, and I usually prefer doing my daily chores when the rest of the world is asleep. My name is Brandon, and this happened to me about a year ago in a quiet suburb just outside of Chicago. It was a Tuesday night, around 2:30 a.m., and my black sedan was absolutely filthy from a long road trip. I remembered a 24-hour automated car wash down the road that was usually completely deserted at night. When I pulled up to the facility, the area was dead silent. The neon signs flickered weakly, casting eerie shadows across the wet concrete. There were no employees, just a fully automated drive-through tunnel. I paid at the machine with my card, and the metal garage door slowly rolled up, inviting me into the dark, narrow tunnel. I drove my car forward until the red light illuminated, telling me to put the vehicle in park. The heavy machinery groaned to life. Huge rotating foam brushes started slamming against my windshield, and thick soapy water completely covered every single window. Within seconds, I was completely blinded inside my own car. All I could see was a thick wall of white foam and the flashing colored lights of the wash cycle. It was loud, claustrophobic, and deeply unsettling. About halfway through the wash, during the heavy soap cycle, a strange shadow caught my eye through the driver's side window. At first, I thought it was just the mechanical arm of the machine, but then the shadow moved independently against the glass. Someone was standing right outside my door, hidden behind the thick layer of foam. Before I could even process what I was seeing, the loud thuds of the washing brushes stopped completely. The main power to the car wash suddenly cut out, plunging the tunnel into total darkness, except for the emergency exit sign at the far end. Then, I heard it. The distinct, violent sound of someone grabbing my driver's side door handle and pulling it up frantically. Click, click, click. Thank God, my doors automatically locked when I put the car in park. I sat frozen in absolute terror as the shadow moved to the back door, violently shaking the handle. Through the soapy window, I could see the outline of a person wearing a bulky winter coat and a dark hood pulled tight over their face. They were trying to break into my car while I was trapped inside the machine. In a blind panic, I slammed my foot onto the gas pedal. The car roared to life, overriding the automated track. I smashed right through the heavy rubber curtains at the exit of the tunnel, bending my front license plate. As my car launched out into the parking lot, I looked in my rearview mirror. Through the fading suds on my rear glass, I saw a man sprinting out of the dark tunnel, jumping into an old pickup truck with no headlights on and speeding away in the opposite direction. I never go to automated car washes after dark anymore. The thought of being trapped in that wet, dark tunnel with someone trying to get in still keeps me awake at night. My name is David, and during my sophomore year of college in Ohio, I moved into a massive, old Victorian house to save money on rent. The house belonged to a quiet, elderly widow named Martha, who lived entirely on the first floor. She rented out the converted attic apartment to me. I had my own small kitchen, a bathroom, and a bedroom. It felt completely private, and for the first 2 months, it was incredibly peaceful. But things changed when Martha went to visit her sister in Florida for 2 weeks, leaving me completely alone in the massive house. The very first night she left, around 3 a.m., I woke up to a bizarre sound. It was a rhythmic, slow scraping noise coming from inside the wall right next to my bed. The attic had a large, old-fashioned metal air vent near the baseboard. At first, I tried to convince myself it was just mice or squirrels in the old pipes. But over the next 3 nights, the noises grew louder. It wasn't scratching anymore. It sounded like something heavy shifting around, followed by a faint, muffled clearing of a throat. One night, a foul, metallic smell began wafting from the vent. It was disgusting. like rotten food mixed with dirty laundry. Unable to take it anymore, I grabbed a heavy screwdriver and a flashlight, determined to check the ductwork. I unscrewed the rusty metal grate and shined my flashlight into the darkness of the shaft. The ventilation system in this old house was massive, almost 4 feet wide. As the beam of light pierced the darkness, my heart dropped into my stomach. Deep inside the crawl space, just 5 feet away from my face, was a makeshift camp. There was a dirty sleeping bag, several wrappers of food stolen from Martha's kitchen, and a pile of my own worn clothing that I thought I had lost in the laundry. But the most terrifying part was the metal wall of the vent. It was completely covered in dozens of Polaroid photos. Every single one of them was a picture of me, taken from inside the dark vent while I was sleeping in my bed. I let out a choked gasp and dropped my screwdriver. At that exact moment, from the darkness further down the shaft, I heard a sudden, violent scuffle. Someone was scrambling away through the pipes. I didn't hesitate. I sprinted out of the attic, flew down the stairs, and locked myself in my car, calling the police with shaking hands. When the officers arrived with K9 units, they searched the ventilation network. They found a man hiding in a tiny, forgotten crawl space in the basement that connected directly to the air ducts. He had been living inside the walls of the house for over a month. He had a set of stolen house keys and a notebook detailing my daily routine. To this day, I cannot sleep without checking every single vent in a room. My name is Jessica, and this happened to me last winter when I was trying to sell my old MacBook Pro to get some extra cash for Christmas. I posted the laptop on Facebook Marketplace for $800. Within an hour, I got a message from an account named Sarah. The profile looked normal, with pictures of a smiling woman and a dog. She didn't try to negotiate the price and said she wanted to buy it immediately as a gift for her son. The only catch was her timing. She claimed she worked late shifts at a hospital and asked if we could meet at 10:30 p.m. She suggested the underground parking garage of a large semi-abandoned shopping mall on the edge of town, claiming it was halfway between us. I was hesitant, but since I desperately needed the money, I agreed. I asked my older brother to come with me, but he had to stay late at work, so I decided to go alone, keeping my car doors locked. When I pulled into the underground garage, it was completely dead. Only every third fluorescent light was working, casting long, dark shadows across the empty concrete spaces. I parked near an elevator bank and texted the buyer that I had arrived. She replied instantly, "Perfect. I am pulling in now in a gray minivan. Stay in your car. I will walk up to your window." A minute later, a battered gray minivan with completely tinted windows and no license plates slowly coasted down the ramp. It didn't park in a regular spot. Instead, it accelerated and pulled up directly behind my car, completely blocking me into my parking space. My instincts immediately went into overdrive. This wasn't a normal buyer. The sliding door of the minivan flew open. Two tall men wearing heavy black tactical hoodies and medical face masks stepped out. Neither of them looked like a woman named Sarah from a hospital. As they walked briskly toward my car, I noticed that the first man was holding a long roll of heavy-duty duct tape, and the second man was pulling large, thick plastic zip ties out of his pocket. They weren't here to buy a laptop. They were here for me. In a surge of pure adrenaline, I threw my car into reverse. I slammed on the gas pedal. My car smashed violently into the front bumper of the minivan, pushing it back just enough for me to clear the concrete pillar next to me. The two men lunged forward, one of them throwing a heavy metal object at my passenger window, cracking the glass completely. I didn't care. I shifted into drive, floored the accelerator, and screeched out of that underground garage, blowing past the exit gate. I drove directly to the nearest police precinct. The detectives later confirmed that the Facebook profile was completely hacked and stolen. They never found the gray minivan, but the police told me that those heavy-duty plastic zip ties are commonly used in targeted carjackings and kidnappings. I deleted my Marketplace account that very night. My name is Marcus, and 2 years ago, I took a job as a night shift security guard for a massive 3-story museum and cultural center downtown. The building was deeply historical, filled with long, echoing marble hallways, dark exhibit rooms, and heavy iron doors. My shift ran from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Most nights were incredibly dull. My only real duties were to sit in the tiny security booth, watch the wall of monitor screens, and do 2 walking patrols through the empty building every night. This happened on a freezing Thursday in January, around 2:15 a.m. I had just finished my first patrol and sat back down in my chair with a cup of coffee. The building was dead silent, except for the low hum of the ventilation system. Suddenly, a bright red light started flashing on my main console. It was a motion sensor alert from the 3rd floor, specifically inside the historical clothing exhibit. I frowned, thinking it was just a glitch or a large mouse tripping the sensor. I leaned forward and switched the main monitor to camera 14, which looked down the long corridor of that exhibit. At first, the screen showed nothing but empty glass display cases and shadows. But then, the shadow moved, independently against the glass. My breath caught in my throat. It wasn't a mouse. It was a human being. But they weren't walking. Through the grainy black and white night vision camera, I watched a person wearing a dirty, tattered business suit scrambling across the cold marble floor. They were on all fours, moving their limbs in a bizarre, twitchy, spider-like motion. They were moving incredibly fast, their heads snapping from side to side. It looked deeply unnatural, like something out of a nightmare. As I watched in absolute horror, the creature suddenly stopped right underneath the security camera. It slowly craned its neck upward, looking directly into the lens. In the infrared light, its eyes glowed like a predator's, and it broke into a wide, manic, ear-to-ear grin. It knew exactly where the cameras were, and it knew I was watching. A second later, it launched forward, sprinting on all fours directly toward the camera. The screen went completely black. It had smashed the camera. Panic flooded my system. The museum doors were all locked from the inside, meaning this person had either slipped in before closing, or they were already hiding somewhere deep in the building. Suddenly, another motion sensor went off on the 2nd floor, then another, closer to the stairs. Whoever it was, they were moving down the building at a terrifying speed, heading straight toward my security booth on the ground floor. I grabbed my heavy-duty flashlight and my radio, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped them. I locked the heavy metal door of the security booth just as the hallway lights outside began to flicker. Through the reinforced glass window of the booth, the darkness of the main lobby felt suffocating. Then I heard it. The rapid, heavy slapping sound of bare hands and feet hitting the marble floor, coming down the stairs. Slap, 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 slap. The sound stopped right outside my locked door. I held my breath, terrified to make even the slightest noise. For 2 agonizing minutes there was complete silence. Then, a soft, raspy whisper came from the other side of the door, right against the keyhole. "I know you're in there, Marcus. Let's play." The fact that it knew my name from my security badge made my blood freeze. I didn't answer. I immediately dialed 911 on the landline phone, whispering my emergency to the dispatcher. While I was on the phone, the thing began to violently throw its body against the metal door, laughing hysterically. The police arrived in less than 5 minutes, their blue lights flashing through the lobby windows. The moment the sirens echoed outside, the slamming stopped. When the officers breached the building and searched the premises, they found the smashed camera on the 3rd floor and a broken window in the basement where the intruder had escaped into the night. They never caught the man in the suit. I resigned from that security job the very next morning. The memory of that manic grin on the security monitor still haunts me every time I am alone in a large building at night. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed these stories, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more terrifying true encounters. Stay safe out there.